I'm delighted to be joined by Kilcoos Paul Devlin ahead of the hashtag toughest showdown of the year, which sees Kilcoo up against Kilmacud Crokes in the AIB GA Football All-Ireland Senior Club Championship final this Saturday, February the 12th. The game will be live on TG Car, while tickets are also available now at ga.ie/tickets. This year's AIB Club Championship celebrates hashtag the toughest players in Gaelic Games, those who despite adversity don't quit, who persevere no matter how tough it gets, because tough can't quit. Paul, is that how it feels? Tough can't quit? Like, what a journey you've been on this year.
Yeah, not gonna lie, each game does have its battle, and it is tough at times during the games. Yeah, so I don't mean to be a cliche, but it is right.
Does it feel like you've been on the road for ages now at this stage, going all the way back to whenever the Down Club Championship started?
Okay, yeah, we've on a very exciting journey, and finally we got to the big hurdle, which is this Saturday. Yeah, so it's enjoyable so far.
Yeah, I spoke with Jerome Johnson before your last game, and I was just reflecting on sort of the form that he's had over the last few years. I mean, all your forwards have been flying it, but like, he was scoring goals. I think he scored one against Rammer, maybe Watty Graham's, and also Derry Connolly as well. The likes of him, he's flying it, and plenty of other forwards are too.
Oh, yes, listen, you need everybody at the same time, but Jerome always has that wee inkling for an eye for a goal, which not too many forwards have, but he has it, which can only help us in games.
Well, what is it about your team that you keep being able to come back? I mean, you've been on the road for so long. You won that, was it 8 in a row and down before? Obviously, you were dethroned and you've come back again.
Yeah, I just think that probably we lost our championship title in 2018 against Burn, our nearest rivals there. And it just showed, it hurt a lot, and us boys just wanted back on the road again. To maybe people are thinking that was the end of this Kilcoo team, and then obviously Mickey and the management came in, and it kind of just spurred us on a wee bit more to try and get our down title back. And then from then we just kind of just went up on our level. So it's sustained for a while now. So we just have to make the most of it while it's here.
And the All-Ireland semi-final that you had against St. Finbarrs was, a thrilling game, to put it mildly. Can I just ask you about that incident at the end of the game, the red card, the free being overturned? You were going to step over and take that one, weren't you?
Oh yeah. I actually won the free, which I thought I didn't think it was a free at the time, but you know yourself, you just take what you get, But listen, it's happened. It's done now. But we won the game, and now Aidan's now available for the final Saturday, which we're over the moon with.
Yeah. So yeah, it was overturned. Did you see what had happened, or were you just confused?
I didn't have any inkling of what happened at all. I was more just focused on my own routine and getting zoomed in, and then it was a chant that I heard the most, and then obviously everything happened after that. But it's done now. It's in the past, and we got through the game in extra time, which I thought probably was our best spell of performance. So it definitely stood us in good stead coming in this weekend.
Just in terms of hitting frees, I suppose you had a few seconds there at least where you knew you were about to hit a free that could have won the game. Would you be the sort of person who'd get nervous standing over a free like that, or would you just so used to it?
I'm probably used to it now. It's just something that I like to thrive on in terms of like frees. Some people maybe not, but it's my role in the team. It's what I practice each night in training, and whenever I have free time to get down to the field to practice. So those kind of things, it's like a job, you know what I mean? You're used to that, doing it that often. It's normal.
Yeah, just to go through your Ulster run again, especially that game against the Glen Watty Graham's, like, that was such a massive game, could have gone either way, and it kind of turned on a mistake. Like, how difficult was it to get through that game?
It was a very tactical game, to be honest. I wouldn't say it was enjoyable to watch unless you were looking at the game and that term. It was a team that made the least mistakes came through it, and we were lucky enough that I pounced on a kick out to get the ball to the right man's room in front of goal, and he made no mistake by putting it away.
Yeah, and obviously a couple of years ago when you played Corofin in that All-Ireland final, that went extra time as well, and Corofin took over in extra time. What are your recollections of that day and how you felt when that final whistle went?
It was disappointing. It really was. It was a journey that fairy tale end was what we were expecting. Obviously, just being the first time winning Ulster, and then obviously anything after that was a bonus. We learned a lot from Corofin in terms of like we got them to extra time, but they just taught us a lesson in the 2 periods of extra time. I don't even think we scored. So it did stand status coming in to get Glen extra time, and then obviously again some thin bars. It stood to us because we've learned from our mistakes, you know.
Yeah, and did you think then when the pandemic hit and the next All-Ireland club title wasn't played, you know, you've been on the road, I mean, and I'm sure you'll tell me you brought in new players all the while, but like you've been on the road for a long time, won a lot of county titles. Was there any sort of concern that maybe, a bit like what happened with Corofin, that you mightn't be back?
Okay, yeah, listen, there's not too many times to get a second chance so quickly, so we've just kept our feet firmly on the ground and taken it game by game. And listen, we've learned a lot over our journey this past 10 years with this team, and there's a lot of youth breaking through and stepping up to the plate in certain games, which is great to see. But we're just taking the game at a time, and all we can focus on is putting in a performance this Saturday.
Yeah, what does Mickey Moran bring to it, and how important was it that he stayed on after that?
I just think he just installs that calmness and belief in the whole squad, and he believes in every player in terms of like they can give more and that you want to give more and that you should. And he has brought that out in us, and he has us believing that we can match anybody in any given day. So whenever you have that come from the manager, it does filter right through the squad, and we're in a good place at the minute, and it's just all a matter of preparing ourselves as best we can come the weekend.
And what about the influence of Conor Laverty? I know maybe it didn't happen for him quite as much on the field of play the last day. He was brought back on again during extra time. But like, here's a guy with huge coaching quality and experience as well, and you have that on the field. So he must be bringing an awful lot to you. Okay,
listen, the game management on the field, it does filter throughout the team. Like maybe sometimes you maybe come out and maybe a few tackle things, you maybe throw at you to try things that way. So he sees things that maybe some of our players don't see, and maybe filters through the team that maybe we can go about things this way and that way. So it's good to have that mindset on the field as well, because he does bring a wee bit of calmness when he's on the field, or if he's on the ball, he can kind of create something out of nothing. So he's been a long servant to the club, and he's providing some differences in the games this year.
Your own kicking style, like you seem a very natural kicker, very comfortable kicker. I remember a couple of the beauties you got, was it against Derry Connolly as well? Some nice scores either side of half time. Were you always fairly natural kicker of the ball, or is it something you had to work really hard on?
No, well, it's just sometimes I normally do the hard work out around the middle of the field and then try and set things up and be a provider rather than a finisher. But this past couple of games, I've got myself on the end of a few scores, which is always nice to do. But normally I'd rather be the provider sometimes rather than the finisher, you know.
Yeah. What about the Brannigan brothers? There's a huge amount of them there. Would they be knocking the heads off each other in training, or how do they operate?
Okay, there's a serious competition even for places in the team and squad. Like they're just everybody's pushing on, and the B team pushes right to the pin of our collar in each in-house games, and they make you do better, because at the end of the day, if you're not performing at the level, there's somebody else that's ready to step into your shoes. So it keeps everybody on their toes, which is great. But at the end of the day, we're all brothers. We've been on this journey together, which is great. There's really a tight-knit bond there.
What do you think it would mean to the parish if you could get over the line?
I could mean everything for the community and parish. Like it's the club's the heartbeat of the community, and everybody's linked to it in some way or another in terms of the club. It'd be great for such a small place like ourselves. It only take you maybe a minute and a half to drive through the whole village, which it just shows how small it is, you know. It would just mean the world to people, past players, people just living around and maybe don't be involved with Kilcoo or now getting involved with Kilcoo. You know, it just brings everybody together, and listen, we'll get over the line. It'll be massive, but we just have to focus on the performance first. Yeah, and there wouldn't be a sheep sheared for a long time, I'd say, if you did manage. Yeah, I'd say there'd be some prayers said as well. And having played there a couple of years ago, like Kilmacud have some guys who, one or two that have won All-Irelands and played it, and they've had a few games at Croke Park already this season. Does your team enjoy playing at Croke Park? To me, you look like a team that's suited to playing at Croker. Okay, well, listen, you have to adapt wherever you go to play games, and obviously you come up against different styles of teams that play a different brand of football. So Croke Park, listen, everybody wants to play in Croke Park. There's no doubt about it. It's where you want to play your best football, against the best teams to prove yourself that you can play at that level. It's definitely daunting whenever you're on the losing side in Croke Park. There's nowhere to hide. You do have to bring your A game at all times when you go there. But I do think it suits our style of football just as well as Kilmacud. Like they have a lot of past All-Ireland winners there, and I know there are a few boys who's on the last All-Ireland winning team in 2009, I think it was. They still have them players who I'd say we probably feeding the younger players a bit of advice and going into this weekend, because like they've done it, they've been there, and they've obviously had a few games at Croke Park this year as well. So that'll stand to them just as well as 2 years to stand us.
And what do you think it says about Kilmacud that even though Paul Mannion has been injured in the All-Ireland semi-final and the Leinster final before, that they're still producing like this? It's not many teams you take out their best, most celebrated player and look at what they continue to do.
Yeah, it just shows the strength and depth of their squad and the size of the club that they have and the players they have at hand. Not everybody's blessed to have players who can fill in the place of Paul Mannion, but they seem to have that. All we can do is really focus on ourselves and bring our A game this weekend.
And just a separate question then on Down. What do you think Down's trajectory is at? I know it's been a tough start to the season for James Horan on his second coming in Division 2 there, and they've 2 losses from 2 at the start. But like there is serious talent in Down, and I've had Stephen Poacher on the show a few times recently, and he's talking about the quality of the club football there and everything. But where do you think Down are heading?
It's hard to know. Down, I know they started late in the getting back training and they're obviously getting back some key players and trying to get them a bit of game time under their belt. But they do have the players there. There's no doubt why Down can't be sitting at the top table with the calibre players throughout the county. It's just probably getting them on board and singing off the same hymn sheet and buying into what James and Edinburgh want them to do.
Yeah, and actually, I suppose your neighbours then in Armagh, were you surprised to see what they did in the first 2 weeks of the league against Dublin, winning in Croke Park and then beating Tyrone after that?
Yeah, when you look at that in the context of, like, I remember Down we played Armagh Championship 2 years ago in Uri, and it went to extra time. And now you look 2 years later where they are now. They're beating the former Ireland champions, and Down are sitting in Division 2 at the minute. So it just over a 2 year period, how far they went on and how far we've kind of stood still as such, you know. So listen, there's boys there that will rally around and try and push on Down to try and stay in Division 2.
And do you think, like, in terms of even referencing that, getting every player singing off the same hymn sheet, do you think that like all the best players are kind of in there, or are there many that aren't there, or what is the reason? Because there's so much talent.
Yeah, well, if you ever, the club football in Down is so competitive. Like each game that we came through was a very tight affair, and even one game went to extra time. So it's not just 1 or 2 or 3 clubs. They're right across the board. There's players who, if they make themselves available, there's no doubt that can make a big difference in Down football, and especially this year under James, who's been there and he's got them to the Ireland final. So there's no reason why the young ones and the players that are there at the minute cannot achieve that.
Yeah, I'll just finish off with a quick Q&A then. I'll start off with, who's your favourite player of all time?
Of 2, actually. Of like Declan O'Sullivan and Brian McGuigan.
Right, okay. Why would they be your number 1?
I just like the way their style of play. Obviously, Declan with his left foot and that wee creative side of things was always nice, that maybe people don't appreciate as such. He always found that pocket and he always done that kind of work. Something probably similar to the way I would like to play. And obviously that year whenever Tyrone won the Ireland, I thought Brian McGuigan, his centre-half forward role, was some of his vision and stuff that you just have to appreciate in the split second that he does. It was always nice.
Yeah. What do you remember of your first time ever at Croke Park? Now, that could be as a kid even.
First time at Croke Park, probably it was Down in I think 2015 league final was probably my first time playing at Croke Park. I was just amazed by the whole surrounds of the whole thing and the crowd and the atmosphere it brings. It was always nice. I was in the panel for the 2010 All-Ireland actually with Down as well. I was only brought into the squad later on, and to run out in front of 82,000 that was there was just like I was just there to just take in the occasion, obviously for part of the panel. It was amazing. Yeah.
Do you feel that Down left that one behind them that day?
It was so long ago. You could say probably in the terms of the performance, I thought Down just maybe done enough. But listen, it's like a free taker of Daniel Gilding that day. He never missed.
He sure didn't. What's the team you most like to beat?
Team I most like to beat? I don't really have a particular one. I just like that winning feeling, to be honest.
Who's been your toughest opponent ever?
Toughest opponent ever? I wouldn't have a toughest opponent ever. Probably the in-house games and down the pitch, because the boys that are marking know me so well. They know exactly where to be whenever I get the ball, which is frustrating at times.
Who's been the biggest influence on your career?
Probably my father. Like he brought me through the ranks. He was an under 10 manager, and he probably just learned me the basics of the game and stuff like that there. So it probably would be my father. Yeah.
What's been your proudest day as a GA player?
Proudest day as a GA player? Probably 2019 Ulster final with Kilcoo was definitely at the top.
What's your favourite stadium to play in?
Croke Park.
What's been the biggest disappointment to your career?
Biggest disappointment probably I was involved in obviously 2010 AllIreland final with Down, and then I was involved in 2009 under 21 AllIreland, which got beat by Cork by last minute goal, and then obviously the club AllIreland. So there's 3 AllIreland finals that I've lost in. Who's the most skillful player you've ever played with? Most skillful player? That's hard to know, actually. There's
Marty
different.
Clark, maybe?
Marty Clark was very skillful. I don't know. That's a tough one, actually. There's that many.
Yeah. Who's the joker on the Kilcoo panel?
Eugene Brannigan.
Okay. Why? What is it about him?
He's just like a Duracell. He just, every training you come down and you're starting to warm up, and then maybe you're trying to get yourself geared up. He just comes over and he just says something out of the blue, and it just sparks a wee joke or something, and it gets you going.
Yeah, you need that team spirit and lads driving that crack.
Yeah, you always hear him before you see him.
Who's the best dressed and the worst dressed?
Best dressed, I'll probably give that one to myself.
Very humble of you.
The worst dressed would I have to give it to Dylan Ward.
Right, why so?
He brings out some amazing outfits which you would have to look twice at. Yeah,
he's got the Spice Boy haircut too, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Who's the best trainer?
Best trainer would have to give it to Oran Brannigan and Ciaran Dockery. There's a few. There's a lot of boys that are so tough in training that it's that competitive. They don't want one person to beat another person. You know what I mean? It's very competitive. But Oran probably because he lives the professional lifestyle of a Gaelic footballer.
What player from another sport do you admire?
Another sport I admire. I do like watching Johnny Sexton. I do like watching the way he hits his routine for frees and stuff like that. He's a very interesting player, I find.
And then a final question: what manager from another sport do you admire?
Manager. Well, I'm a United supporter, so I don't really. Not a fan right now.
Not any recent United.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. That's another sport. That would be hard to know. It's normally I like managers within their own sport, which really I loved Jim Gavin whenever he took over Dublin. He's just so assured, and he never give away anything along the line. But it's probably similar to Mickey Moore, and he never gives an inkling away of what he's thinking or his reactions, which I feel it does filter through the team. So that type of manager between Jim Gavin and Mickey Moore, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, brilliant stuff, Paul, and best of luck at the weekend.
Cheers, Shane. Nice chatting to you.
Okay, so that was Paul Devlin of Kilcoo there. And just a reminder, if you want to see our full preview show on Thursday, we're going to have stacks of stuff on it. Patreon.com/OurGame, just a £5 a month. And we'll see you then.